I'm James Demer, the audio nomad. Thanks for joining us today. We're at CanJam SoCal 2024. And for those of you who don't know what CanJam is, it's a pretty incredible headphone convention, essentially, that happens all over the world. They've got, I don't know, gosh, probably 8 or so that happen around America, around the United States, and around the world. And it's a really fun opportunity to get together with a bunch of headphone and IEM enthusiasts and try out a whole bunch of different gear. Linsoul was there, and I was managing the booth at the CanJam SoCal 2024 here in essentially Los Angeles. The show's over, but I thought I'd give those of you who didn't have an opportunity to visit a little display of what we brought to CanJam and what people were able to try. So what I want to talk about are each product very briefly that I brought, and the impressions that I heard people tell me they liked or didn't like or other about each product. So let's get into it. We'll start with the ZiiGaat line. We had, I think, 4 or 5 ZiiGaat products. The first one on the top of the pile is the ZiiGaat ESTRELLA. It's the ZiiGaat J collaboration, and it's 2 dynamic driver. I think this one's around 300, but the ESTRELLA is a pretty great sounding unit. Honestly, all the ZiiGaat stuff sounds really, really good to me, and it definitely sounds more expensive than it costs. I think one of the reasons that there's a lot of value in the ZiiGaat line is because they don't put a lot of money into packaging. You know, it's all the boxes are all the same size. They're very simple. You don't get a lot of fancy accessories. You get usually like a little zipper case. You get the IEMs, you get the cable, and then a few tips, and that's about it. So they're really putting their money into research and development and materials cost. And because ZiiGaat is a Linsoul brand, there's no middleman, there's no markup. So they're able to really deliver a product that I believe could cost a whole lot more. So the ESTRELLA is really fun. It's a brighter set, I think, than some of the other sets. Very enjoyable. There were quite a few people who found this to be their favorite in the ZiiGaat line. It wasn't my favorite. I liked the Arete a little bit better. And of course, I'm a huge fan of the Doscinco, but this is a fun listen. So next on the pile is the ZiiGaat Arete. The Arete is a collab between Fresh Reviews and ZiiGaat, and the name Arete, I wasn't sure how to pronounce it, and I know that aretes in Spanish is earrings, and I thought that was kind of fun and maybe thought that's what it meant. But then someone who came to the booth said, no, it's Greek, a reference of the Greek word arete, which I looked up, which I believe means excellence. And so that's fitting. And then arete in French, it's my bad French, arete. It's like a ridge peak on a mountain. And I knew what that was because I do some trail running and mountaineering. But in any case, I really like this unit. It's probably one of my favorites. I was surprised by it. It has a very, very pleasing tonality. It has great detail and separation, but it's not too bright. It has a nice roll off in the high frequency range. Also, people at the show were quite pleased with this in comparison to the ESTRELLA, which is 2 DD, 2 dynamic drivers, and 4 BA. This is 1 DD and 4 BA. I don't think there's anything lacking in the bass because there's one less dynamic driver, but that's what it has. The ZiiGaat Doscinco. This is a really, really great sounding unit. I love the Doscinco. I got it when it first came out and have loved it ever since. It's probably one of my go-to IEMs that I use almost all the time. It's $269, I believe. Tremendous, tremendous value. This thing sounds so good. It is spacious. It has great low-end punch, nice tight mid-bass. It's not flabby, it's not tubby. People often at the show would compare this to higher priced IEMs and say that they were surprised at how close it gets to some of the kilo buck and more IEMs. The 5.3, the 5.3 is also very nice. I would say not my favorite. It's a velvety, kind of a buffed sound. It doesn't have quite as much high frequency extension, but it also sounds very good and it's quite popular. This is sort of a late night listen to jazz IEM. You know, it's a mellow set, but it's a nice set. People liked it. This was, I'm gonna call it an oddball only because it was the only ZENNS product that we had. It's the ZENNS Mangird Tea PRO. I've actually done a review on this that I believe you can find on YouTube. This was probably the biggest surprise that people who visited the Linsoul booth had, because it's $359 and it really sounds good. It just sounds great. People, almost to a person that tried it, were not only pleased with it, but found it to be maybe in a league with, again, like the Doscinco, but more so the Monarch Mark III, the Prestige Limited. It definitely, while sound signature-wise isn't like those two, it's a fantastic IEM, and it's a really great packaging. It's got a lot of value with the accessories that it comes with. It comes with a nice case, comes with a nice velvet pouch, and a shirt clip, which I love. The shells are aluminum, the nozzles are stainless steel. It's a great set. The ZENNS Mangird Tea PRO was very, very popular. So let's get into the Kiwi Ears products that we brought. The Quintet was mildly popular. It's been around for a bit. People love it. People that know what it is and wanted to try it definitely were interested in trying this. I wouldn't say it was a showstopper by any means. There's a lot going on in the Quintet. It's got a 10mm DLC coated dynamic driver, a piezo tweeter, which I love a good piezo. It gives this incredible high frequency extension. I think it might be a little harsh in the Quintet for my ears. It has two balanced armature and a planar. Planar, BA, piezo, dynamic. They shoved a lot in the Quintet. It works. It works for some people. It works for a lot of people. It's not my favorite, but it's pretty good. The Kiwi Ears KE4 was very popular. A lot of people wanted to try the KE4. I'm guessing that maybe there are a lot of reviewers have been talking about the KE4 because so many people came to the booth asking to try the KE4, and people walked away liking the product. It's two balanced armature, two dynamic driver, and that's good. Yeah, KE4, not too expensive. Kiwi Ears is also a Linsoul brand, so if you buy it from Linsoul, well, really, you can buy it from anywhere. There's not a middleman markup, and more importantly, the good folks at Linsoul can control quality of manufacture on these products, and that's really important. The Orchestra Lite. This is an 8 balanced armature, all BA set, and I wouldn't call this this wasn't a showstopper, but there are people that truly love it. I truly love it. I don't use it to listen to music. I wouldn't say it's my favorite set for really getting down, but for the work that I do as a location audio mixer, it's accurate, detailed, it presents vocals in such a natural way. I love that. And they're super comfortable and they're really well made. I can wear these all day long. And a lot of people who own these find them to be a solid reference set. It's a solid reference set for not a ton of money. They're also pretty. And my favorite is the clear, the full clear. You get like, you can see everything that's inside and see how well the product is made. Okay, let's get into the THIEAUDIO products. This guy, the Origin, it's new, brand new, and it is pretty great. 849 bucks, and it has a dynamic driver, 2 E-stats, okay. 4 balanced armature, okay. And 1 bone conductor. It has 1 bone conductor driver per shell, and it's a big one. I think it's at least a centimeter. It's at least 10 millimeters. It's big, and it works. And I'm going to do an interview/review on this product with John Park, who tuned it and designed it in a few days, so you have to stay tuned for that. It's cool. It's cool. It's a lively, kind of in-your-face set. People who listened to it at the show enjoyed it. They said it was a fun, musical, lively, brash set. A thick set. One of the things that people really loved was the cable. There's a guy named Nate who came to my booth, and I spent quite a bit of time with him. He was awesome. And he said, yeah, it's like black licorice. And he's right, the cable is very thick. It's not super pliable, but it's very, very premium feeling. It sounds good, of course. It's probably my favorite cable that comes from any of the Linsoul brands. I'd love to own just the cable and put it on some different IEMs. But the Origin at $850 is a really, really unique and fun set. Of course, we had the Monarch Mark III. You know, a lot of people asked for the Monarch Mark II, and that's something I didn't have, and I'm sorry that I didn't bring it. I'll bring it to CanJam Dallas if you have a chance to go to CanJam Dallas, so that you can A/B compare the Monarch Mark II with the Monarch Mark III. The Monarch Mark III is dynamic driver, Sonian Knowles balanced armatures, and it has of course, the Sonian E-stat drivers as well. And I think it's a smaller shell than the Monarch Mark II, so people did find it to be more comfortable. Some people were not crazy about the shell faceplate design, because the one that you see here actually looks pretty awesome, but the one that we had, it looks like a zebra or something. It doesn't look as good. So if you're gonna spend $1,000 for an IEM, it'd be nice to know that the faceplate you're getting is something that you like. In this case, I think it'd be a little bit of a gamble, but a solid set nonetheless. Had the Divinity V16. This is a shiny new box. 16 all balanced armature drivers. Probably one of my all-time favorite sets. I use these all the time. Is it getting a little long in the tooth? Possibly. People commented, wow, it's been around a long time, like 2 or 3 years, which didn't used to be a long time, but in these days where IEM technology and brands are popping up and it's changing, you know, it's a long time. It's still a great set. I love it. It's a great reference set. It does everything really well. Almost my favorite THIEAUDIO set, with the exception of the Prestige Limited, which at $12.99 is a little less expensive than the V16, which I think is $1,500. This THIEAUDIO Prestige Limited, I think, and I heard this from a lot of people at the show, it just does every genre of music and every frequency and even amplitude. It just does it really well. The THIEAUDIO Prestige Limited is a true workhorse, but it's a refined workhorse. It does frequency ranges with ease, lots of sub-bass, mid-bass, mids, highs, ultra highs. It handles a variety of genres of music with ease, and it just sounds mature and refined and super, super awesome. Probably my favorite set on the table. I won't say probably. Of all the IEMs that we had on display at CanJam SoCal 2024. My personal favorite was the THIEAUDIO Prestige Limited. I think a lot of people agree with me, not everyone of course, because there are a lot of different tastes out there, and that's what makes this fun. We had the Hype 10, which is the top of the range of the Hype line. Not my favorite, and I would say it wasn't the favorite of most people who listen to it. It's a decent set, but I prefer the Hype 4, and I think most people who listen to the Hype 4 and the Hype 10 did prefer the Hype 4, but not everyone. There were a few folks that really, really enjoyed the Hype 10. You know, it's got a weighty bass to it, and if you like a lot of bass, a lot of emphasis in the bass, it's not bloated or tubby, it's just a lot, and maybe too much for me, but it's a good set. It's a funky faceplate design, very spacey. I'd say, you know, my biggest complaint about most of the IEMs that we had at our table are the faceplate designs. They're a little too blingy, a little too flashy, a little too sparkly for me. It's not really what I'm into. I like a subtle, refined, maybe brushed aluminum, maybe a little more industrial looking. It's not going to keep me from using any of the IEMs, but that's just the way I feel about it. The Oracle Mark III was a huge surprise for me. This set is phenomenal, phenomenal. $589, probably my second favorite set at the show. I think it's almost as good as the Prestige Limited at half the price. I mean, it's really, really close. And it's so well made. It's, I believe, a little bit smaller shell. I hope you get a chance to hear these. This is definitely a phenomenal value buy. Okay, the last IEM that I had for people to audition at CanJam SoCal 2024 was the THIEAUDIO Hype 4, and $399. It's an all-time favorite. It sounds great. It does a variety of musical genres really well. It has a tremendous amount of impact in the bass. It does bass really well. I love the way it does bass. It's this, you know, dual dynamic driver thing that they figured out, and it doesn't bleed into the mids. It holds its own. It has great decay. It has great mid-range. The vocals shine with the Hype 4, both female and male. I think it's maybe a little bit brutish in the high frequency. That's where something like the Oracle Mark III is a little bit more tame, a little bit more polished. In the high end, it's not lacking in any sort of airiness or sparkle, but the Hype 4 just presents it in a way that's a little bit less refined. But for $400, oh my gosh, it's a great set. And that's it. That's what we had at the table, and that's most likely what we're going to bring to CanJam Dallas 2024, which is the last CanJam of the year. If there's anything that you want me to review in depth, let me know in the comments below. And if there's anyone that you want me to interview who is in the IEM or headphone world or in the audio world, also put those in the comments, because I'm looking to interview interesting people and talk about what makes them tick. Until next time, I'm James Demer, the Audio Nomad, and thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by Linsoul.com. Linsoul sells IEMs, headphones, amplifiers, digital to analog converters, cables, really just about anything you could want for personal hi-fi or even home hi-fi. Their prices are great, the quality is exceptional, and their customer service is really second to none. Check them out in the link below.